It's true. Well, the stories you heard are true. I wouldn't lie to you. It's true that the big, beautiful bill passed, despite the fact that one Republican slept through the entire vote. I mean, I just can't even with this party. You know, you got everything going for you, and then you've got these people. It's just unexcusable. What's up? This is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, and thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited. What a happy, it's Friday Eve, as we used to call it. I guess we could still call it that. It's Thursday, and today's it's a very historic day. President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill passed through the House of Representatives this morning. In fact, I just wrapped up the 47 Daily podcast, and it always happens this way. I wrapped up the 47 Daily podcast about 8 a.m., and I said, Donald Trump working with Congress, Donald Trump at Congress, Congress debating. Hopefully, they'll be voting later today. We'll see if the big, beautiful bill goes through, yada, 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 yada. And as soon as I hit publish on the 47 Daily podcast, bam, they voted. About 8:35, 8:36, it was announced that the big, beautiful bill did indeed pass. And it is now headed to the Senate, where I'm sure they'll have a bunch of back and forth, a bunch of debates. They'll be making a bunch of changes. But, it looks like this happened a lot quicker, I think, than a lot of other people thought would. A lot of people didn't even think that the vote would come until Friday. But it came this morning after a marathon session of the House of Representatives. And I guess that's why this dude fell asleep. He's from New York. His name is, what's his name? His name is Andrew Garbarino. Andrew Garbarino. Oh, yeah, here, I have it here. Andrew Garbarino, Republican, missed key one big, beautiful bill vote because he fell asleep. Now, again, I know there's a lot of votes in the House of Representatives, and I know that you're there sometimes for a long time doing a lot of work, whatever. But if there's one vote that you can't sleep through, if there's one vote that you can't miss, if there's one vote, whichever way you vote, whether you're voting yes or you're voting no, if there's one vote so far this season that is the most important vote, it's clearly this one. And this guy I guess he was in the back of the room or something, or maybe back in his office. Who knows? But that's why it was a razor thin majority. It did pass, however. Here's what happened early this morning.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214, with one answering present. The bill is passed. USA.
Yeah, USA. They're very excited, USA. But, and Mike Johnson is sitting there and he's gaveling and he's doing the math in his head. He's like, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214 and he's thinking to himself, he's like, he's like, wait a minute, what's happening? It doesn't matter. I won. And he gavels it out. He goes, the bill is passed. But it was tricky. There's a couple of things that really, this was divine intervention. You want to talk about divine intervention? This was clearly it. Thomas Massie, we know, was a no vote. He said he was going to be a no vote. Donald Trump knew he was a no vote. Everyone was like, Thomas Massie, ain't no way this dude's voting for this bill. And he did not. And that was something that shocked absolutely nobody. Nobody shocked that Thomas Massie was a no vote. There was another guy from Maryland who voted present. And then there was a representative from Ohio whose name escapes me at the moment. He also voted no. And that apparently wasn't a shock either. Jim Jordan had talked to him the night before. Jim Jordan tried to get him to come on board. Jim Jordan failed miserably in that, so the guy voted with Thomas Massie. Those were your two no votes. There was the vote of present from the guy from Maryland, as we said. And then you had this one guy who fell asleep in the back of the room. And then, what's his name? Schweikert, Representative Schweikert from Arizona, got his card in. Because you get a voting card, right? That's how they know that only representatives are voting. You walk in there, you slide in your card. I think you enter like a PIN number, and then you vote, yay or nay, and that's how it's done. You get a voting card. And my buddy Aaron Bean, representative from Florida's fourth congressional district, pardon me, he was going to a vote once. He was like, oh darn it, I forgot my voting card, Mark Kaye, and he had to turn around and go back, and he goes, all right, I got my voting card, Mark Kaye, and then we went and he voted. It was a lot of fun to watch. But basically, that's how it works. And this guy put his card in the slot, and it was like, boop, we're sorry. This vote is over. So you got Republicans missing the vote because they're too slow. Republicans missing the vote because they're asleep at the back of the room. Yet somehow this vote managed to go through. Now, one of the other really bizarre things that happened is just yesterday, Like yesterday, just yesterday, there was a representative, Jerry Connolly, and Jerry Connolly was a Democrat from Virginia, and he passed away, died yesterday. I mean, I want you to think about this. This would have tied up the vote. If Jerry Connolly were still there, and if he were voting, he would have voted with the Democrats, because the Democrats all hate Americans. The Democrats all want you to pay more in taxes. The Democrats are like, taxes to them that's like Christmas morning. But look at this. Virginia Representative Jerry Connolly dies at 75 after sharing cancer update marking third House Democrat death since March. The Democrats, they keep around. I mean, that's the thing. They keep them in there till their dying day. They never leave. And Jerry Connolly, the latest Democrat to pass away while in office. Now, again, God rest his soul. We're not saying we wanted him to pass away, but had he made it one more day, had he been able to make it to this vote, and this idiot from New York falls asleep in the back of the room, it would have been a tie, and the motion would have failed. And it wouldn't be going to the Senate right now. They'd all be going back to work to try to figure out what the next step was. So between the guy falling asleep, and between the no votes and the other fellow whose card didn't work, and now this dead Democrat, I mean, it is crazy. Clearly, God wanted this bill to pass. He did everything he possibly could to get it over the finish line. And with one vote, 215 to 214, it did indeed pass. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, what exactly is in this big, beautiful bill? What exactly is happening in this big? There's a lot. There's a lot going on. Claudia Tierney is all excited about it. Here's a little bit of what she's excited about. She's from New York. So, the SALT deduction increase, a couple of other things that are going to be helpful for her as she tries to wrangle some moderate voters.
We're very pleased that this one big, beautiful bill was finally passed. Really the speaker shows how heroic and incredible he is to keep continuing to pull rabbits out of a hat. He worked hand in glove with President Trump and our leadership team and so many from the White House to get everyone to yes, just about. I mean, it was a very close vote, but obviously we have a very narrow majority. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I think that was the pitch of the speaker. We have to do what the American people asked us to do in electing President Trump and keeping our majority and creating a majority in the Senate. It goes to the Senate now, as you know, Jackie, and we'll see what happens up there. There's a lot in this bill. I mean, we are going to have the biggest tax cuts. That's the renewal of the Trump tax cuts plus more, border security, common sense, unleashing American energy. We're going to have so many things in this bill that are going to be really important. It's just one step. We have another shot at reconciliation to do even more. So I caution members when they think we're going to get everything in the bill. We have another chance, and we can fill in some of the blanks. But it has been an arduous task. A lot of late nights, a lot of days within Ways and Means Committee, particularly the Energy and Commerce Committee. All our chairs worked so hard and stayed up really late, night after night, to make sure that we met to the best we could the demands of each of the members, that we got to yes on this bill.
And they got to yes. And apparently President Donald Trump called Chip Roy and a bunch of other a bunch of other Republicans to the White House yesterday to try to wheel and deal, because there were more holdouts. There were like a dozen holdouts. There were about a dozen Republicans who were like, look, we can't vote for this. It doesn't cut enough. We need more, we need more guarantees. And President Trump wheeled and dealed the way he did. There were some promises of future bills coming to the floor, promises of future executive orders. And at the end of the day, it passed. And Steve Scalise said, look, we put some great things in this bill.
We knew we had to prevent a massive tax increase, so we put it in the bill. We knew we needed to secure America's border, as President Trump ran on all across this country and won the election on, and we put it in this bill. We ran on and said we would produce more American energy, and we put it in this bill. All the things that we knew we needed to do to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in government. Focus on those families who are struggling. All of that is in this one big, beautiful bill. And yes, now the House has come together and passed this bill against all odds, but we're still working on the rest of the process. Still goes to the Senate. Senate has a lot of work to do, too. That's why we've been talking to the Senate for a long time, but it's their turn to take this bill and move forward. But I'll tell you, none of this would be possible without the leadership of President Trump, who every step of the way not only laid out the vision ran a campaign on this vision, but every step of the way too said, whatever you need, let me know. And he was there to help us.
And that is something that has been reiterated by a lot of these representatives. Andy Barr is from, I forget where, Kentucky, I think. Andy Barr said, yeah, Donald Trump is the reason. He was the catalyst. He's the one who really rode this like a jockey across the finish line.
I am so happy for my constituents and the American people this morning because, yes, indeed, we passed President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Credit to Speaker Johnson, but this would not have happened. Make no mistake, this would not have happened without the leadership of the deal maker in chief, President Donald J. Trump. And the winner is the American people. The winner are the people of Kentucky and the people of every state across this country who will now see their taxes reduced, the border secured, Medicaid more efficient and right-sized for the people who need it. Waste, fraud, and abuse gone, energy dominance restored. This is the bill that will make America great again.
Yeah, Doug Burgum, Secretary of the Interior, was asked about it as well, and he was just giddy. I mean, as giddy as Doug Burgum gets.
Seniors, veterans, and folks with disabilities.
Hold on, that's Ilania Presley. Hang on.
Well, Maria, first of all, this incredible piece of historic legislation that passed this morning doesn't happen without President Trump's leadership. His vision around lower taxes, lower regulation, unleashing America's potential is coming to true. This is promises made and promises kept. And this bill has got so many fantastic things in it, whether it's border security, national defense, unleashing energy, lower taxes for Americans, lower taxes for senior citizens. This thing is just fantastic, and congratulations, not just the president, but his teamwork with Mike Johnson's team. These guys working round the clock to make it happen is going to lift up all Americans.
And that is the consensus. Mike Johnson, no matter what you think of him, seems to have had a big win getting this bill through, and will definitely politically have a little extra capital that he can work with moving forward. A lot of people, I'll be honest with you, a little shocked that he was able to wrangle all the votes as quickly as possible. Again, a lot of folks, when they voted on this Sunday night and it was going to the Rules Committee, he said Thursday, Friday at the latest. I thought for sure it was maybe going to be Friday. I know they wanted it before Memorial Day, but he got it done Thursday morning. Again, props to him, and a little shocked that it happened. There's a couple, of course, Democrats out there who are just lying. I mean, look, a lot of people don't like the bill because it spends a lot of money. That was one of Thomas Massey's big problems with it. It says we're putting off the savings. We're supposed to be cutting the spending now. We're not. We're saying we're going to cut the spending in future Congresses, and we can't predict what future Congresses are going to do. He knows that because he's been in past Congresses, and they've tried to predict what future Congresses are going to do, and clearly the future Congresses haven't done those things. So there's a lot of folks who say we need a dollar for dollar cost offset. We need to make sure that we're putting all these Doge cuts into this bill and not just a part. We can't spend $30 trillion and save $2 trillion. It doesn't really make any fiscal sense. But the Democrats are out there just blatantly lying about things. One of them was Sarah McBride.
This is a budget. This is a budget that imposes a tax on working people, a tax on patients, creating new out-of-pocket expenses, breaking the foundational promise of this president's campaign to lower costs for working people.
Yeah, that's a lie. There's no new taxes in that. That's a bigger lie than her gender or his gender or its gender. I don't know what it is, but there's no new tax. In fact, the taxes are going to continue to be lowered on people. So I don't know what that is. I don't know who's buying that. Someone was yelling boo at the beginning of it. I imagine it's someone who's not a fan of Sarah McBride. Ilania Presley. I don't know. Here, you know who she is. She had similar lies that she was spewing.
Seniors, veterans, and folks with disabilities. I mean, seriously, the only people who benefit from this bill are toy spaceship billionaires like Elon Musk and Donald Trump himself.
What's a toy spaceship billionaire? I don't understand what that means. What's a toy? They're real spaceships. I've seen them. They go into space. They fly around, they come back, and they land, which is real. That's almost never. It's like a Star Wars movie. It's really amazing. I don't think it's a toy. I think someone's a little bit jealous. But anyway, but there's a lot of good stuff in this bill, despite the excess spending. Bill Vaught, who is the, what does he do? Bill Vaught is the OBM, with Office of Budget and Management. Yeah, here he is talking to Maria Bartiromo saying, look, there's so much good stuff in this bill, I don't even know where to start.
So what element of the big, beautiful bill do you think is most important to growth? Is it deregulation? Is it tariff revenue? Is it extension of the tax cuts? I recognize they're all very important, but what's most important in terms of the catalyst for growth?
Maria, you're asking me to choose amongst my children. They are all very important. I'm in charge of the deregulatory agenda on behalf of the president. But I think that all of them are being exponentially furthered in this bill. And I think what is really an important story that we will keep talking about is the extent to which we have ended fiscal irresponsibility and futility by not being able to pass big reductions in mandatory savings that make total sense. A work requirement. It makes total sense, and the American people are going to hear more about those details.
Okay, so he's saying, look, the work requirement's a good thing, but I think it's all a good thing. He's talking about the reform being historic and the mandatory spending being gone.
Yes, and I think that the storyline with regard to the spending reductions it's historic. This is the first time that we've seen anything like this in 30 years, not since in the 1997 balanced budget agreement. And what this bill includes is nearly $2 trillion by the time it gets updated for last-minute changes to get House conservatives across the finish line, nearly $2 trillion in mandatory savings reforms to improve Medicaid, to make sure there's a work requirement, to be able to get the labor force participation rate up, to get people who are illegal off the rolls, to do a lot of things in a lot of different areas of the main structural driver our debt and deficits, which has been mandatory spending. And it also sets us up by doing some things on border security and defense increases to allow us to have an enormous fight on non-defense discretionary spending to make the DOGE cuts permanent, as reflected in our budget that we sent up to Congress not too long ago, to be able to lock those things in. So we think that this is a major step forward to get us on the road to balance. Why? Because it gets us out of fiscal futility, where we have been unable to pass anything like this for decades.
Wow, out of fiscal futility. That's incredible. And look, mandatory spending cuts are good. There is an argument that there is a lot of spending cuts in this bill. There is an argument that it will not be as inflationary as people say. However, it does increase spending. It does increase the debt. And that is one of the reasons why some of the far right fiscal hawks, some of the libertarian leaning members of the party, Thomas Massie leading the charge, are still against it and will always be against. I mean, again, you're never going to get anything you want in Washington, D.C. And this bill, well, this bill is indicative of that. The interesting thing, though, that you really need to realize about this bill is that every Democrat voted against it. Every Democrat voted against this bill. And I want to share with you some of the things, because people always say, what's really in this? This is from the Ways and Means Committee. The One Big Beautiful Bill moves one step closer to President Trump's desk. Today marks a major milestone in delivering lasting tax relief to the American people. The One Big Beautiful Bill locks in the successful 2017 Trump tax cuts and builds on that foundation with bold, pro-growth reforms that will strengthen families, workers, farmers, and small businesses. Families, if you're a family, you stand to gain $13,000 in take-home pay. Workers could see wage increases of more than $11,000. More than 7 million jobs will be secured in the next 4 years through enhanced small business relief and Made in America incentives that reward hiring and investment here at home. Parents will benefit from an expanded inflation-adjusted child tax credit and an enhanced standard education. Family farmers will finally get peace of mind with a doubled death tax exemption that protects their generational lands and livelihoods. That's a big one. We are delivering President Trump's promise of no tax on tips, overtime, auto loan interest, and tax relief for seniors, which will put more money in the pockets of millions of Americans every single year. Now, specifically, here's what we have as far as the fact sheet goes. The One Big Beautiful Bill makes the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent, protecting the average taxpayer from a 22% tax hike. It saves the American family from a $1,700 tax hike the equivalent of 9 weeks of groceries. Delivers an additional $1,300 tax cut. Delivers up to $11,600 in higher wages. We did all of that. Delivers on Trump's priority of no tax on tips, overtime pay, car loan interest, and tax relief for seniors. This is good. Locks in and boosts the doubled child tax credit for more than 40 million families and provides additional tax relief for American families. Another big one. Preserves and increases the doubled guaranteed deduction for 91% of all taxpayers. Now, here's the other thing that it does. Here we go. Renews 100% immediate expensing for equipment and machinery, which was taken away. 100% immediate expensing for research and development in the U.S. Increased deductions for interest expenses and supports the expansion of new factories. This is a big one, too. Stops the Democrats' attack on the gig economy by repealing their 1099K gig worker rule that would have required Venmo, PayPal, and gig transactions over $600 be reported to the IRS. That's exciting. It's exciting to anyone who works in the gig economy. Renews Opportunity Zone programs, yada, yada, yada. Now, where's the thing I want? Okay, here we go. Holds woke elite universities that operate more like major corporations and other tax-exempt entities accountable, ensuring they can no longer abuse generous benefits provided through the tax code. Increases the university endowment tax and subjects the largest endowments to the corporate tax rate. Increases tax on massive nonprofits that resemble hedge funds and pay their employees huge salaries. Ends $500 billion in Biden-era tax breaks and special interest giveaways to the wealthy big corporations and China. Eliminates special interest tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners. Prevents taxpayer benefits from going to illegal immigrants by requiring a social security number for individuals claiming tax credits and deductions, ending illegal immigrant eligibility for Obamacare premium tax credits and Medicare, and applying new fees on remittance payments from illegal immigrants to the United States. There's one other thing in here. I don't see it here, but there's one other thing in here that I thought was really amazing. And if this makes it through the final bill and to Donald Trump's desk, I think this is a game changer for the United States of America. I'm not sure why it doesn't get more play. But Kevin Hassert, who is the National Director of the Economic Council, says there's a clip. Oh, here it is. Listen to this. This, to me, is the game-changing bit of this bill. This, to me, is the thing that is going to truly change America for the better.
And the bottom line is that this is a bill that's ready for the next version of America, which is a lot of onshoring of activity, but also big, big tax cuts for the people who need them most. So we've got tax reductions for people who earn overtime. And I met with the president of the UAW in my office a week ago to talk about the hundreds of dollars a week for many people that's going to save. We're cutting taxes on Social Security people. I think one of the biggest tragedies of economic policy in America is that some people retire for Social Security, they don't have enough money, they want to go back to work, and then all that work that they get is taxed. If they make an extra $1, they lose 50 cents, and they get taxed on the rest of it. And there's no tax on tips. And so all of this stuff is helping middle-class Americans get back to work, and that's really great for the economy. But also, the big, beautiful bill has a lot of beautiful stuff in it that nobody's talking about, which is another one of your themes. And so one of the things I like the best is that for every baby, it's in the bill, every baby born in America, then the minute they're born, the government creates a $1,000 account, puts it into the stock market for them so that they've got it when they retire, and then they get to look at that account on their iPhone or their phone for the rest of their lives and see what America is doing for them. And I think that kind of bill is exactly what we need right now. And we don't need, we've extended the tax cuts, which created all this manufacturing in the U.S., but we focused really on the middle class in this bill. And that's why it's going to probably pass tonight or early in the morning. And that's my intel from the meeting with the president today.
And it did pass. And that one thing in the bill, and he's right, nobody's talking about this, and to me it's the biggest thing in the entire world. Nobody's talking about this $1,000 account that they're creating for all new babies born in the United States of America. And they originally called it the MAGA account, but I think they changed it to the Trump account. And this is game changing for the United States of America. It's truly game changing. Think about this. Social Security. We pay into Social Security our entire lives. When you work, you pay a Social Security tax. Your employer pays Social Security tax. You're paying into this system. It's a big Ponzi scheme. It's a big pyramid scheme. They're using your Social Security payments to pay out Social Security for the people they promised it to. and it's going to collapse in on top of itself eventually. What Donald Trump has done with this Trump account for newborn children is basically privatize Social Security without privatizing Social Security. I mean, if you think about this, you have a baby, right? Right now, you have a baby. If you want to save for the baby's future, you have to do it on your own. If you want to invest for the baby's future, you have to do it on your own. Your baby, when they reach certain age and they can start making money, they can save their own money or not. They're paying into Social Security. The government is saying, oh, trust us. We're going to put Social Security in a lockbox, like Al Gore used to say, and it'll be there. It'll be there when you turn 65. It'll be there when you need it. It ain't going to be there for a lot of people. But Donald Trump is saying, that's dumb. Let's do this instead. Instead of $1,000 credit or instead of $1,000 whatever, every time a baby's born, we invest $1,000 in an account. We invest it with the stock market in some kind of S&P 500 fund, and we leave it there, and they can't touch it until they're 65. But when they are 65, they can touch it, and they can see it growing all along. They can see it growing the whole time that they're alive. And you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen? In 65 years, let's say you take $1,000. Let's say you have a baby. Boom. Wah, baby's born. Immediately, the minute that baby's born, you put $1,000 in an account with an S&P 500 fund at 10% annually with reinvested accrued compounding interest. Let's say you do that for 65 years. When that baby turns 65 at current rates, do you know how much money they're going to have in their account? I do. $458,000. $458,000. That's way more than the average person gets in Social Security and retirement benefits over the course of their lifetime. $458,000 per person. Imagine if you retired at age 65 and you got access to an account with $500,000 in it. Now, I know in 65 years it's not going to be worth as much, but I mean, and that's just the average. It could be more. You never, depending on what happens with manufacturing in the stock market over the next 60 years, it could be way more. But that is incredible. That is ridiculous. That is privatizing Social Security. And then when your baby turns 65 and they get that money, they're not going to care about Social Security because they just got handed $500,000 from the government. But it's not from the government. It's from private industry. It's a growth account. It's because America has been prosperous and private companies have been prosperous, and all it costs is $1,000. Do you know how much it costs to give a Social Security recipient $500,000 after they retire? It costs the government $500,000. Donald Trump has just figured out a way to take $1,000 and turn it into $500,000. He's figured out a way to take $1,000 and pay for every single retiree's retirement when they hit 65. And eventually, if you have these Social Security accounts or these Trump accounts growing at that particular rate and the interest compounding, then what's going to happen is you're eventually not going to need Social Security. You're not going to be paying Social Security tax. Your employer won't be paying Social Security tax. And if you're not paying that money, you're keeping that money, which means not only are you getting $458,000 when you retire, but you're making more money every single week that you work. Why is nobody talking about this? This to me is the selling point. This to me is the boom. You have people that are upset about the trillions of dollars of spending. You have people who are upset about what's going to happen. And this is Donald Trump putting two in the back of the head of Social Security and saying we have a better way. And the workaround is and Kevin Hassett knows it. Whatever Kevin Hassett gets excited about, you should be excited about. This guy is the smartest guy in the country. Not just the administration, not just the government. He's the smartest guy in the country. And if he says, I'm excited about this, he knows that what Donald Trump and the Republicans have done is they've tricked the government into privatizing Social Security. The one thing that they said, we're never going to touch Social Security. We don't want to touch your Social Security safe. Social Security is the thing. Social Security is safe. But man, after about 10 years of these babies making money, and think about this too. Here's another thing. What is the government also doing? The government is taking $1,000 for every baby that's born. I don't know how many babies are born in the country every year, but I imagine it's a lot. How many babies were born in the U.S. in 2024. 3.6 million babies were born. Okay. So let's say 3 million, 1, 2, 3. I want to get my zeros right. 3.6 million babies times $1,000 each is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 3 billion. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's $3.6 billion. So for $3.6 billion, an entire generation, that's 1 year, an entire generation of babies can retire. It's incredible. I don't know why nobody's more excited about this. I don't even have babies. My kids are 18 and 17. Maybe their kids will get excited about it, but I'm thrilled for everybody. I'm thrilled. I probably won't be around to see any of this. Like 60 years from now, maybe if I stop eating all those dyes that RFK Jr. Maybe if RFK Jr. does his job really well, I'll be around to see all this. But I am just tickled pink to know that this is on the docket and that this is what our future is. And Donald Trump is now not just helping those babies, but he's pumping $3.6 billion into the United States economy. That's money from the government that is going into private industry via the stock market. And that is going to continue to bolster growth. And anybody who owns stock, that's going to help their stock go up. Donald Trump is helping the newborn babies, the current stockholders, and anyone who owns a business or works for a corporation in the United States of America that falls under the S&P 500. It's a simple, genius plan. And that's something that's in this bill that doesn't get a lot of play. I bet if these Congress people went out and talked about it, I bet they'd be able to sell it to their constituents. I bet if any of these people were like, it increases spending, whatever like that, you could see some really positive things in it. And that to me is the most positive thing. That to me is the most positive thing that we see. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff to get to. And we have some more stuff that we're going to get to as well. Not just with the big, beautiful bill, but with, I may want to touch on the Saudi Arabian thing again, the South African thing again, because that was way cool. And then, of course, there was this horrific murder yesterday. I don't want to get all down, but this murder yesterday was crazy outside of the museum in New York, in Washington, D.C. These two Israeli ambassadors gunned down. We'll get to that. But first, we already have a super chat. I haven't even talked about the super chats yet, but listen, we appreciate all the support and we've been getting tons of it. Jeff Tim just dropped a $10 super chat. Said, run, Mark, run. Jeff, I appreciate that. Thank you first of all, thank you so much for your $10 super chat. That's awesome. We have a goal every single show of 20 super chats. We have one. There's only 19 to go. Only if you've never left a super chat on YouTube, now's the day to do it. If you have left a super chat on YouTube, great. We appreciate it. If you drop another one, we'll read whatever it is you want us to read. That's how it works. We'll shout out whatever it is you put in your super chat. On Rumble, we have Rumble rants, and the same rule applies. We got our mods ready to go. We're checking out your super chats, your Rumble rants, and we will make sure that we get them all read ASAP. And if you're on Facebook, I know a lot of you are dropping stars, and I do appreciate that as well. But man, I got to tell you, the guy falling asleep in the back. So here's the thing about Congress. When I first said, you know what, I'm going to run for Congress, I was like, let me investigate this a little bit. And I started to and the reason I wanted to run for Congress, the reason I want to run for Congress is because of my congressman. I mean, I only have one congressman. You only have one congressman. We all only have one congressperson, let's just say. And I'm most familiar with that person. I know that there's other representatives out there that I don't like. I don't like the way they vote. I don't like the way any Democrats vote, but I don't have any say in it. I don't like the way some of the Republicans vote, but I don't have any say in that either. I do have a say in my district. And as I'm looking around my district and as I'm seeing what's going on in my district and as I see how my representative, I believe you want to talk about somebody phoning it in. This guy's been phoning it in for like a decade. He went to Congress, I believe, as his retirement plan. He was sheriff for 12 years. After he retired as sheriff, he's like, what am I going to do now? And they were probably like, why don't you run for Congress? He's like, all right, I'll spend half my time in DC, half my time here, half my time trading stocks with the insider information I get. I'll build up a nice cush nest egg of about, $5 million. And then I'll just phone it in. And I'll vote whichever way I need to vote to keep the special interests happy, which is what he's been doing. And, it serves him really well. It doesn't serve the rest of us here in Florida's 5th District. So the past couple of years, I've been looking around and I've been actively working with campaigns and I've been trying to figure out who's the best person, who can I support, who can we get to go and run for Congress, who can beat this guy so we can have an actual representative, somebody who wants to be there, somebody who's not just there to build up a slush fund for their posterity, somebody who's there to actually fight, and take the fight to the Democrats and make sure that things are happening and not just be lackadaisical. And, last time around, I supported a candidate who I thought was right. She didn't get the votes needed. And this time around, she opted not to run. And the problem is there's not a lot of people wanting to run for Congress. Mike Johnson's right about that. Mike Johnson said, look, there's not a lot of people that want to run for Congress. And part of the reason is there hasn't been an increase in salary in a very long time. And he used that as an excuse for stock trading. He said, look, we haven't given these people a salary increase in like 20 years. Well, the least we can do is let them trade stocks illegally. I mean, is that the trade-off? Is that what we're doing now? We're making excuses for insider stock information being traded by our House of Representatives because they're not giving themselves a pay increase? Well, no wonder they're not giving themselves a pay. I wouldn't vote for a pay increase either. If you're like, hey, listen, we'll let you insider trade stocks and make millions, or we'll give you a $20,000 cost of living increase. Which would you like? I mean, no wonder. It's no wonder they haven't increased their salaries. It's a great excuse for them to keep trading stocks with the information they're getting from their various different committee assignments. But I digress. So anyway, now though, it's kind of branched out. It's not just my representative. There's a whole bunch of these people all across the board who are just really annoying. And I think that they're disruptive. And I think that they are not only doing a disservice to us by spending money that we don't have, or spending money or wasting our money, or fraudulently, displacing our money places we don't want it to, but they're wasting our time. And time, as I said before, is much more valuable. I think that's Donald Trump's big thing. I think Donald Trump knows it too. Donald Trump is, older than your average president. Donald Trump is in his second term. Donald Trump has a lot of promises that he made that he wants to keep, and he has a limited amount of time to do it. And I think that's why Donald Trump keeps so much of the pressure on, because he knows this has got to get done now. There's no tomorrow. There's no second term. This has got to get done now. Everything he promised, closed borders, deportations, fixed economy, inflation down, manufacturing, trillions of dollars in investment, tariffs, boosted military, stronger military, more lethal military, new golden age, and solidifying the Trump taxes. All these things have to get done now because the clock is ticking. And I think in the past, and probably in the future, Congress people waste a lot of our time. That's my big thing. This guy who's sleeping in the back of the room, I mean, come on. It's a bad look. You got one job. You have one job. You don't actually have to debate. Here's the thing. You don't have to debate as a congressman. You don't have to be on a committee as a congressman. There's a committee. Victoria Spartz is on 0 committees. Not one. Thomas Massey, I think, got thrown off of all his committees. There are congresspeople out there that don't sit on a single committee. There are congresspeople out there that never debate. There are congresspeople that don't really do anything. Sure, maybe sometimes they give tours to their constituents, but you know what they're supposed to do? You know what the one job is? Vote. Even my lackadaisical congressperson manages to vote. Half the time he votes with the Democrats by sending more money to Ukraine. Not once, not twice, but 7 times. Voting for that new FBI headquarters right after the FBI ransacked Donald Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago and rifled through his wife's underwear drawer. That's when my representative said, let's vote to give them a brand new multi-billion-dollar facility in Maryland. He votes the wrong way, but at least he shows up to vote. Half the time I wish he wouldn't, but he does. He doesn't fall asleep in the back of the room. Not yet, but he could. He's getting on in there in years. So I think, you got one job, dude. You got to vote. And if you're going to fall asleep, we need somebody. And he's 40. That's the other thing. This guy that fell asleep from New York is 40 years old. Why are you so tired? I'm 50 and I still manage to stay awake long enough to do my job. I just don't. I just don't understand it. But there's a lot of people out there that need to be reminded of the job, of what a privilege it is, what an honor it is, and what their responsibility is. And their responsibility is to serve the people that elected them, not themselves, and at least show up to vote. Minimum. Eileen, thank you so much for the super chat. Eileen sent a super sticker. A baby video game controller sits in a diaper under the word noob. Thank you. Thank you for that. I love how, when somebody sends a sticker, I love how my program just, it's like when you're driving in your car and you ask, the AirPlay or the Siri to read you whatever the text messages you just got or the email, and she reads out the emojis. It's very similar to that too. Baby video game controller sits in a diaper under the word noob. Eileen, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your super chat. I really do. Like I said, all the support that we get from everybody goes right back into the show. All of the support. Harley Quinzel sent us a $5 Rumble rant and said, I want to see more done for the hardworking middle class. I'm not impressed yet. All that money Doge found, how about we benefit? Run, Mark, run. Harley, that's very nice. I really do appreciate that as well. All right. So yesterday, this is crazy, man. This is just nuts. Yesterday, there was a shooting outside of the Holocaust Museum. Was it the Holocaust Museum? Yeah. In Washington, D.C. And that's right in the middle of downtown. It was what I believe is a terrorist attack because, well, I'll just let you. Here's Pam Bondi talking about it.
People here in Israel are...
I'm sorry, that's Mike Huckabee. Here's Pam Bondi talking about it.
Two beautiful young people were gunned down last night needlessly. I saw his body being taken away from the scene. That was horrific. No parents should have to be called and told that their children were violently murdered, leaving a religious event at the Jewish Museum. That should never happen in this world and not in our country. And this person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. As far as the facts in the law bill, we'll follow those. We'll follow those where they lead, but we will ensure everyone, America will be safe. We will do everything we can. This violence has to stop.
Yeah, and that is Pam Bondi, who I guess was called up early to go and investigate it. There's a suspect in custody, Elias Rodriguez. And this guy, Elias Rodriguez, was apprehended on the scene. And while he was being hauled away, he was chanting, can you guess? You'll never guess. You'll never guess.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Yeah. So this guy walks up, and I don't know if it's that's enough of that. I don't know if it's point blank range. I don't know what it was, but he walks up, he shoots this young couple. They weren't engaged, but I think they were going to get engaged. They were planning to get married, whatever. They both worked for the Israeli embassy, and they were coming out of this party or this reception, and he killed them both. And then when he was being arrested, he started yelling, free, free Palestine. Now, this is a big deal because A, it's murder, which is horrible. B, it's more likely a terrorist attack, and I believe should be treated as such. And of course, it's clearly a hate crime. Mike Huckabee, who is the Israeli ambassador, said he was woken up earlier today, and this is not going to go over well in Israel because in Israel, they're already planning to attack Iran. They're already planning to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities because they don't want Iran having a nuclear weapon, and I guess they don't believe that these peace talks are going to benefit them. Donald Trump has tried to put the kibosh on that, but now you can imagine that Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to want retaliation for two of his ambassadors being shot point blank range outside of a celebration.
People here in Israel are devastated, Brian. It is a disheartening act that happens in the U.S. nation's capital. I think everybody is just in shock. I got a call early this morning, Jerusalem time, from Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. She was at the scene. She gave me a brief on what was going on. I've spoken with the foreign minister. I've spoken with the the ambassador of Israel to the U.S. and to the father of the young man who lives here in Israel. The tragedy is that they were expecting to be engaged, to be married next week here in Israel. They had already bought the ring. They were coming to Israel to seal their engagement. And it's just a horrific tragedy, an act of terror, and another way in which we have to recognize Jewish people all over the world are being singled out for these kind of horrible attacks.
Yeah, anti-Semitism is running rampant, of course. And here's the official story. Oh, hang on. There we go. Here's the official story. Israeli embassy staffers Yaron Luchinsky and Sarah Milgram ID'd as couple fatally shot by terrorists who yelled "Free, Free Palestine" near D.C.'s Capitol Jewish Museum. The 2 Israeli embassy staffers who were gunned down by a pro-Palestinian terrorist outside the Capitol Jewish Museum on Wednesday night have been identified as friends and colleagues who fell in love and were just days away from getting engaged. Yaron Lichinsky, 28, and Sarah Milgram were fatally shot in the street as they left the American Jewish Committee's Access Young Diplomats reception just after 9 p.m. in Washington, D.C. Yaron and Sarah were our friends and colleagues. They were in the prime of their lives, the Embassy of Israel to the U.S. wrote on X. There they are. Very good-looking couple. This evening, a terrorist shot and killed them as they exited an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum in D.C. The entire embassy staff is heartbroken and devastated by their murder. No words can express the depth of our grief and horror at this devastating loss. Our hearts are with their families, and the embassy will be by their side during this terrible time. This, again, of course, is terror. Oh, Lichinsky bought a ring this week, Leiter added. The couple both worked out of the Israeli embassy in D.C. This is terror because, look, and we talk about it all the time. Terrorists want you to be scared living your life. They want you. That's why terrorists always target, airplanes or office buildings or movie theaters. That's why, that's where these things are scariest, because you don't ever feel, you're supposed to feel safe, walking around, going to the movies. You're supposed to feel safe getting on an airplane. You're supposed to feel safe and doing all these regular mundane things that you never think about. And when you don't, like, for example, going to reception at the museum, when you're an embassy staffer, you typically think to yourself, well, this will be fine. I'm just going to a party. We'll be totally okay. And then here comes a guy and he guns down a young couple outside the embassy and yells, "Free, free Palestine." So now what happens? Now everybody's on high alert. Every Jewish person is on a high alert. Every Jewish person going to a party or any Jewish event. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you're terrorizing people. You're making them live in a state of anxiousness and stress, and you're making them scared to go do things that they would typically normally do. And it's really, that is one of the signs of a terrorist. Palestine, the pro-Palestinian movement, the Hamas terrorists, Hezbollah, the Houthis, we all know that they're subsidized by Iran. Israel knows that they're subsidized by Iran. And whether this kook was just a one-off, maybe, I don't know, a Harvard grad or something like that, or maybe this guy was radicalized on purpose and sent here on purpose to commit this heinous act. If that's the case, then Benjamin Netanyahu 100% is going to go ballistic. He's going to carry out his attacks, and I don't know that there's anything that Donald Trump is going to be able to do to stop him. And that's going to set the Middle Eastern problem back. It's going to set it back another couple years at least. The fighting will continue. Donald Trump working diligently with all of the Arab countries to try and get peace, to try and bring in investment, to try to get investments in the United States of America. He's trying to get them to work together. He's trying to rebuild Gaza. He's trying to make sure that there is no more war. There's never another incident like we had in October a couple of years back. And he wants he wants it to be peaceful. The problem is you've got idiots here in the United States of America who are killing people and yelling "Free, free Palestine," which then becomes a rallying cry for Israel to retaliate, which I imagine they will. I can't imagine they would not. I can't imagine they would not. Donald Trump is it's got to, and it's got to be baffling as a regular person. You know how, like, when you're trying to do something, or it happens to me all the time with technology. I'm like, I'm trying to do something on my computer, and then all of a sudden something breaks down, or you get that little spinning rainbow circle of death where nothing's going to work, or it tells you there's too much storage. And you're like, all I want to do is render some video. All I want to do is upload my podcast. The Wi-Fi goes out, and you're like, oh God, now I got to lock onto my phone. All this technology really annoys me. And I get really, really upset by that. I couldn't imagine being president, where your task is trying to bring peace to the Middle East, and you're so close, and you're about to render the video or upload the audio or, connect to the Wi-Fi. And then all of a sudden, some idiot guns down a couple of Israeli ambassadors yelling "Free, free Palestine," and you can't do anything. And not only that, it looks like all that hard work that you did is just about to get wiped out, like you didn't save your Word doc. It's really got, I mean, again, I get frustrated on a small scale. I can only imagine how horrible it is for President Donald Trump to have to deal with these things on a much, much larger scale. Anyway, that's why I'm not president. That and the fact that I was born in Canada. Oh, somebody asked me that, by the way. It may have been my son asked me that. They said, if I run for Congress and I win and I become Speaker of the House of Representatives, could I ever become president because I wasn't born in this country? And the answer is no, I couldn't, because that is a prerequisite. And even though Speaker of the House is in the line of succession, if the Speaker in the House does not qualify to be President of the United States, because look, there's qualifications. In order to serve as President of the United States, you must be 35 years of age. But in order to be in the House of Representatives, you only have to be 25. So if you're 25 and you somehow get elected Speaker of the House and somehow something horrible happens and you're next in line for succession, you can't be president because you don't meet the criteria. You must also be a natural born citizen, which I am not. So if I became a congressman and then Speaker of the House and then by some horrible means would be elevated to the office of president, I couldn't do it. They'd have to skip over me and go to the next guy in line, which I believe is the Senate, the president pro tempore of the Senate, I believe. I don't know. I don't really, but I know that it wouldn't be me. But a really good question nonetheless, because you can't have a non-American born citizen as president of the United States. Listen, one thing I do know though, is if you're looking to invest and you're not a newborn baby getting a $1,000 Donald Trump account, one of the best things you can do is download the free gold guide from our friends at Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group, Paul Stone, CEO. You've heard him on the show before. You may hear him on the show again sometime. He's going to help you make your savings bulletproof and secure your financial future with gold. Claim your free 2025 gold guide by going to freegoldguide.com/KAYE. I put the link, handy dandy link in the description of this video so you can find it pretty quickly. You're going to learn how to protect and grow your retirement savings with a gold IRA. You're going to learn why precious metals offer a strong defense against de-dollarization and inflation. You're going to learn how simple it is to safeguard your retirement tax-free and penalty-free. And you're going to learn how to use an IRS loophole to protect your financial future now, plus a whole lot more. So if I were you, I wouldn't waste any time. I'd go to freegoldguide.com/K and I'd download this guide. And of course, you can learn if you start a new account how you can get the limited time offer of up to $7,500 in free bonus silver. So many, I know people that watch Mark Kaye Saves the Republic have already gotten their free gold guide. If you've already opened your account and gotten your silver, let me know too, because I'm curious about that. freegoldguide.com/KAYE for Colonial Metals Group. We're very proud to have them as a sponsor. They're great people. They're conservative. They love this country. They love what Donald Trump is doing, and they want to help you make the most of the new golden age. So definitely do that. Go there and get that free gold guide. There's something that just popped up on my feed, and I want to just find it here. Apparently, Caroline Leavitt has been, she had a press briefing, which we didn't take live. That's okay. But I want to see, here it is. Caroline, there's a wordy dirt in here, but I'm going to play it for you. This is something about the, here we go. We'll play it for you, and let me just get out the wordy dirt. All right, here we go.
Crosses are representing their lives. Those crosses are representing their lives in the fact that they are now dead and their government did nothing about it. Are you disputing that there's no...
The fact that the video showed what the president claimed it showed, because it did not show that. But even more, what I'm asking you is who at the White House...
It did show that. It showed white crosses representing people who have perished because of racial persecution.
Verifies the videos that the president shows, and what protocols are in place when there's unsubstantiated information being put out for the world and world leaders to show?
Yamiche, what's unsubstantiated about the video? The video shows crosses that represent the dead bodies of people who were racially persecuted by their government. In fact, the Associated Press, of all places, has a picture of that very monument, and the caption from the Associated Press is, "Each cross marks a white farmer who has been killed in a farm murder." So it is substantiated, not just by that video and the physical evidence that everybody saw on display in the Oval Office, but also by another outlet in this room, the Associated Press. So you should take it up with them if you believe the claim is unsubstantiated. And that's a ridiculous line of questioning. John, go ahead. Go ahead.
Wow, that's great. That's, of course, after President Donald Trump. Oh, everyone's posting it. Yamiche Alcindor was the reporter from NBC who was trying to deny the reality of white South Africans getting murdered after Trump's epic humiliation of President Cyril Ramaphosa. And I have that too. That's good enough to play again. So yesterday, Donald Trump had Cyril Ramaphosa, I think is how you do it. And I didn't play the entire, this lead up to the video, they've been calling it an ambush. I called it an ambush myself because I didn't know ambush was a bad term. I thought it was great. I was like, look at this. Donald Trump totally ambushed this guy. He wasn't prepared for it. I saw it as a net positive. Apparently, a lot of people in the media think it's a negative, but this is exactly what happened. President Donald Trump showed this video, and Cyril Ramaphosa did not even know it was coming. He actually thought he was being a bad mamma jamma because he jumped on top of Donald Trump and tried to answer the question. And then Donald Trump's like, that's nice. Hey, turn the lights off. Let's watch this together.
Mr. President, this time, what will it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the president. It's for him. No, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that. Is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. Yes. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. Can we draw my membership from this useless parliament?
Yeah, and that's when he starts playing the video. When we played the video yesterday of all the people in South Africa in the parliament saying, "Kill the white man, kill the Boer," and then they were dancing around talking about shooting him and all this, just crazy, insane stuff. And it was a monumental moment. And you would think that a lot of people would be like, whoa, that's crazy. Donald Trump's clearly in the right. Whoa, that's crazy. There definitely is a genocide. But no, these NBC reporters are all like, that's an ambush. That was insane. And Donald Trump shouldn't be letting white people come to the United States of America. He should let them stay there. And I don't know what, get killed? It's really weird. One of the other things that is baffling to me is this whole thing with the LaMonica MacIver story, which LaMonica MacIver, oh, by the way, I guess this was a deep fake or it was an edited video. I got totally community noted. I think it was my first community note. Actually, I got community noted because I shared a video that made me, here it is. This says, all right, so here we go. This was a video yesterday that was posted of LaMonica MacIver on CNN. And whoever posted it said, here we go, said when she was asked a question, she just started singing a song. But apparently the purported video of the spontaneous singing was digitally created by the administrator of a parody account on X. It's still pretty, here's the thing, it's still pretty funny and it got me a lot of likes. So watch this.
Congresswoman, you are now facing a federal charge though. Are you afraid of what's going to transpire now?
You fight on, you fight on, you fight on, you fight on. When your government is doing you wrong, you fight on, oh, you fight on.
Congresswoman,
that
you
is
are
just,
now facing a federal
so here's
charge,
the thing.
Though. Are you?
Here's the thing. What does it say about LaMonica MacIver that I couldn't tell and many other people that shared it couldn't tell that it was fake? What does it say about LaMonica McIver that we see that and go, yeah, that seems like something the Democrats, that seems like one of the crazy things that the Democrats would actually do. But apparently she did not. However, she did run into ICE security guards and agents at a prison. And Tom Homan said, look, this is something that, is unacceptable. Tom Homan, by the way, he's been interviewed by every single news outlet about this, and he hasn't changed his story at all. I don't know why they keep asking him the same question. He's never going to say this is acceptable behavior by a member of Congress or anyone else, or no, we're sorry that we're charging her with assaulting an ICE agent.
She claims she was there on oversight. We open facilities to oversight every day across this country. There are, all you have to do is show up to the facility in a professional manner and request a visit. Go through screening and go see it. We are proud of that facility. I want everybody to go look at it. Maybe all the false narrative will stop about how ICE's detention standards are just so terrible. But she shoved an officer, she put hands on her officer. That's unacceptable. These ICE officers, and when you cause a ruckus like that, then that makes that facility unsecure, because officers who should be dealing with the prisoners, very serious prisoners, criminals in that facility, they're dealing with the ruckus outside. It makes the facility unsafe. It's unsafe for the officers. It's unsafe for the general public. We take the security of those facilities very seriously. She knows how to do oversight. Go there and request to look at it. Don't barge your way in. And regardless of what happens, you don't put hands and you don't shove an ICE officer who's there to protect the facility and protect the public from the people in that facility.
You think? Yeah, and that's, and here's the thing. I know a lot of Congress people, and Congress people, for the most part, are respectful. Some are not. But listen, every congressperson gets a little, in fact, you can see it. They all get a little official congressional pin. The men usually wear it on their lapel. The women wear it as a necklace. Some men, like Sarah McBride, also wear it as a necklace. In fact, I think, let's see if you can see it on Sarah McBride.
This is a budget.
There it is right there. So see that's her congressional medallion. That's their congressional medallion. And they put it on a chain and they wear it. And that's their access to everything. I think Claudia Tierney, you can
We're
also
very
see
pleased that this one big, beautiful...
Claudia Tierney, same thing, although she's actually a woman. So it's a little more. Let's see where Steve Scalise has his.
We knew we had to.
Steve Scalise is not wearing his, so he should actually not. He's a horrible example. Andy Barr.
I am so.
There it is. Andy Barr's got his right there on his lapel, and that is the pin that denotes a member of Congress, and that gets you access anywhere. You can get into the members-only elevator, because there's a members-only elevator. You can get on the little tram, the little secret subway that takes you all around town or all around the Capitol building. You can get on the Capitol floor. You can get into any government building. It is your all-access pass. It gets you everywhere. And on top of that, it can get you into special events. For example, at the convention, all of us had to get Secret Service passes. We had to get passes that say you can go here, media passes, you're allowed here, whatever. If you have that pin, you don't need any of that. You can walk right into the convention center. You can walk right into the hall. You can walk right into the media center. If you have that congressional pin, that is your all access pass. Same thing with the Senate. The Senate has theirs as well. I think what happens is a lot of Congress people forget that they don't just have all access to everything with that. I think they're used to just walking around the Capitol like they own the place, getting into the members-only elevator, getting on the little tram, getting into museums for free, getting into I don't know where else they go, the Lincoln Memorial, whatever. I think they're used to all that kind of stuff so that when they show up at a prison, they think just wearing that medallion around their neck or on their lapel, they think just having that little medallion that denotes them as a member of Congress, one of 435 members of Congress, or 432 because 3 of them have passed away. They think that gets them anywhere. I wouldn't be shocked if they went to Disney World and tried to use them to get to the front of the Fast Pass line or whatever, Genie line. I don't know what it's even called now. But that's not what it is. Yes, it will get you onto the floor of the House of Representatives and other places, but no, it doesn't just automatically get you into a secured ICE detention center. If you would like to go to the front office and request a tour, you will get one. If you want to push your way through the gate while officers are telling you to stand back, and if you shove and body slam one of those officers, then you are going to suffer the consequences just like anyone else, because as we all know, as the Democrats repeatedly tell us, no one is above the law. I'm doing something very interesting next week. Not next week, the week after. So a couple of weeks from now, I'm going on vacation. And the interesting thing about working for myself is it's awesome. Having your own company, doing your own thing, being independent, amazing. I don't have to commute anymore. I save tons of money on gas. I can sit in my underwear if I want to. Plus, we get to create all the amazing content that we want. No commercials, that kind of stuff. It's really fantastic. Whether you're watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, I get to do it on my own terms. It can be like the other day, I went like 90 minutes because I had so much to say. Some days I wrap up right around 59. I don't even go 60. But, we try to keep it consistent. But the one thing that's really kind of interesting is that when I go on vacation, I need to figure out, what to do, because as a content creator, your investment of time and content is directly proportional to your return on investment. Meaning if the content don't get created, you don't get paid. And back in the day when you worked for a company, what happens is you get a salary and you get vacation days. And even if you're on vacation, your paycheck doesn't fluctuate, all that kind of stuff. There's no paid leave when you're an entrepreneur. When you are your own boss, there is no PTO. It's either you work or you don't, you get paid or you don't. It's a lot like, it's a lot like a gig economy. It's a lot like clocking in and clocking out. And if you don't clock in, if you're sick or if you're on vacation or if you're, if you're taking your dog to the vet, whatever, hungover, whatever it is, you're not getting paid. So now that I'm taking a week off, and I thought about having a fill-in host for my morning podcast, the 47 Daily. And so what happened was I reached out to a good buddy of mine named Jeff, who's a podcaster. And he does this all. He's worked for some of the biggest names in the industry. I don't think I can tell you who they are, but they're big. You know who they are, but he can't say because he signed a non-disclosure. However, I didn't. So maybe I could tell you. I'm not going to. But anyway, so Jeff said, yeah, I'll be happy to fill in. I think it'd be great. No problem. So what I did was I recorded the other day my workflow. As I was recording the 47 Daily podcast, I just decided to record my workflow and, how I come up with the ideas, how I get the clips, how I record it, how I edit it, how I upload it, all that kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, this will be great just so he can reference it. He can get some kind of idea. Now he's a professional, so he knows how to record audio and edit audio and stuff. But I just want you to see how I do it. And that way you can do your best to try to emulate the final product while you're filling in. And I recorded all this stuff. And I was talking to my wife and she goes, that's really great stuff. You should probably just put that up on your marketing page. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, you literally just created a course that shows people how you do your podcast every day. Why don't you just put those videos up on your Kaye marketing page? And I thought to myself, that's really a fantastic idea. So guess what I did? Because I always listen to my wife, I went to my Kaye marketing page on YouTube, which if you have not yet subscribed to, you totally should because it's awesome. And this is where I've separated out all the marketing materials, all the marketing videos. Here is where we make the podcast. Here is where we do the podcast. Here is where we live stream. Kaye marketing is where we show you behind the scenes how we do what we do. And you'll look, there's a brand new playlist here. I called it Speak and Grow Rich, but it's the full video tutorial that I sent to Jeff. It's every single piece. You can see all the pieces right here, all 7 videos. And if you've ever been interested in starting your own podcast or creating a podcast, if you're like, I'd like to podcast, or if you have a podcast and you're wondering how to really market it and really monetize it and really grow it so that you can be a professional podcaster just like I am, then this is great. And it's all right there. Keep in mind, it's me talking to Jeff. So if you start watching it and you hear me go, hey, Jeff, and you're like, my name's not Jeff, my name's Elaine, just know that it's like a peek into my life. But you can go to Kaye Marketing on YouTube. There's a link in the description of this video, so it's easy to find. And I created the whole playlist. It's right here, Speak and Grow Rich. Ever wonder how a podcast gets made? I wrote that myself. So anyway, you can click there and watch it. I hope you enjoy it. And like I said, there's a lot of different ways to take a podcast and add it as an outlet to, because a lot of people think when they think of social media marketing, they think of YouTube videos, they think of Instagram, they think of TikTok, all good stuff. But very few people think of podcasts. And podcasts, in my humble opinion, are one of the best ways to market your own business or create a really lucrative side hustle. Take it from me, I've done it a couple times. I have 2 podcasts. So I have twice the amount of knowledge and I'm sharing it with you right now. Go to Kaye Marketing. The other thing is, I got another super chat, speaking of monetizing your podcast, from Jamie Smith, who wrote, God bless, bro, with a fist bump and an American flag. Jamie, thank you so much. Jamie Smith, God bless you too, bro. Or bruh, as my daughter says, because bruh's the cool way. Bruh's the cool way to do it. Also, we got another Rumble rant, $20 from U.S. Abby Girl. And U.S. Abby Girl wrote, Mike Johnson needs to reschedule the vote to codify Trump's executive orders. Otherwise, he truly is a rhino and needs to go now. He's a fake Trump supporter. He's just pretending, in my humble opinion. First of all, U.S. Abby Girl, nothing humble about that opinion, I'd like to point out. And also, thank you so much. That's a really generous $20 Rumble rant that we got from you. And keep in mind, we do appreciate all of our Rumble ranters, all of our super chatters. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, Mark, I would love to help you, but I just can't. No problem. You can help by subscribing to this channel, by sharing this content, by telling your friends about it, by helping us grow our Katriot Nation, by letting everybody know that every single day there's a place where they can come to learn about conservatism and republicanism and how to make America great again and how to put America first, where they can learn about the threats, the mounting threats to this country, and most importantly, how they can be entertained, informed, enlightened, inspired to fight back. That's how you can help. You can subscribe, you can listen, and you can share. You can be an ambassador for Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. You could spread the word high and low because, like I said, we are trying to grow every single day. Because if there's more of us than there are of them, then it's going to be a lot easier to fight and to win and to save the Republic. For those of you in the Katriot Club, we do have a brief after party today because I have a GAIN meeting that I have to get ready for, but we'll have a brief after party here in about 3 minutes or so. If you're not a member of the Katriot Club, you're going to want to join it. It's soups fun, katriots.com. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow.